I heard Conor McGregor said this, and I can really relate to it. He says, at the end of the day, you got to feel something. Why not feel unbeatable? One day I'll make some money, and enough money that I don't have to constantly check price tags when I go to Kmart. You kind of got to find your mission in life.
Yeah.
And my mission is just to be world-class in business and world-class in life. Someone new starting, like, be like Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
You know, don't practice 1,000 different kicks. Practice one kick 1,000 times. Get so good at it that people can't ignore you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to be at the Bayside group with Kevin Chokshi. We've been doing it for a long time, wanting to do it for a long time. Kevin, who is a seasoned auctioneer, a real estate agent, a director of a real estate company, a father. Man, how do you do it all, and where did it all start?
It almost feels suspicious. It just, it just feels like how does it get to be this way? And I say this all the time. I say this to my wife. I say this to a lot of people that I speak to, that if someone had asked me to predict my life 10 years ago, almost every prediction would have been wrong. It would have been so wrong. But yeah, man, you probably want to know my story. My story is I grew up in India, and I grew up in the western province of India called Gujarat, which is sort of, for context, 700-800 kilometers north of Mumbai, which is what most people would know. Yeah, dry states on alcohol growing up.
I know, yeah.
Went to school. My parents were academics, like a lot of Indian parents, but pretty qualified people. My mum's master's in education. My dad's bachelor's in law as well.
Yeah.
He worked in a bank, and my mum was a teacher as well. They obviously had big ambitions for me to become highly educated, potentially become a doctor or an engineer or something, and they spent all their earnings on just making sure I had a really good education. So we didn't come from I didn't come from a rich family. I just came from a normal sort of middle class family, but we had plenty of food to go around and more than enough love for me and my sister. So that was good.
Yeah.
It was a nice place to grow up in. We spent a few years in Mumbai, a few years in Ahmedabad, which is the city I come from, and then
Traveled around a bit.
schooling. Yeah, I traveled around a little bit. My dad used to get transferred for work a little bit, so that's what we did. And then I finished my year 10, and then year 12 was tough. My score was 41.42. It was terrible. And I think it's interesting also to note two fronts. So English is my third language. Well, that's same as what it would be for you, I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
But also my score, people hear the way I speak now, they would never assume my score in English was poor. My score in English was like 46 out of 100. Like, I barely made the cut. It was just terrible, right? It was just crazy. So I think, yeah, it's just been a crazy road. And at that score, there's not many schools that would take me in India. So we were just kind of looking for just, what to do next. And from there emerged the idea of potentially moving to Australia. There was an exhibition, like a education expo, that was happening in our city at that time. And one of my dad's friends found an ad, and the ad was, you can immigrate to Australia and go to Geelong, and you spend 12 months in India and then the remainder of the course in Australia.
Yeah.
And I had no ambitions of moving overseas. In fact, no one in my family had.
I was going to come to that, was it always the plan to move overseas, or was it the low score, which is a lot of us are. Parents are like, you're not doing anything here, man. Go overseas, make something of your life. You're just moving around with friends, doing those night outs, or getting drunk, or going out with your girlfriend. And the background which we come from, education is a big part of it. If you're not scoring high there, if you're not in top 10, you haven't made it, I think.
Oh, it's a competitive world.
That's it. Yeah.
There's 1.5 billion people. There is, there's a job that gets posted. I watched this on the news the other day. The entrance exams for one of the government jobs, there is something like 2.5 million people give that exam a crack, and there's only 500 people get chosen from it. Like, it's crazy. So you think of you think of the scale and how. I mean, there's obviously a lot of people. There's also a lot of jobs, but there is, the bigger the army, the more soldiers there are, and there's very few generals. It's not like, you know what I mean. So the high level jobs are still proportionate to high level jobs in any country, in any organization, and the soldiers get paid what the soldiers get paid. So the chance for progression is probably harder too. So unless you have an extraordinary education, but even doctors, dentists, they struggle because it's so.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you drive around these days, my dad got sick a couple of years ago, and that was my kind of first encounter with the hospital system, and there's just the amount of doctors and hospitals there are is pretty crazy too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was certainly wasn't planned. It wasn't a conscious choice. It was just a complete chance encounter. My life is just a sequence of a lot of chance encounters. Like things kind of just happen by chance. And and again, same sort of thing. And I'd never thought of this in my whole life. Like I didn't even know where Australia was on the map. Yeah. And then suddenly next minute I'm lining up to collect brochures for some universities in Australia. It was you know, and it's like I didn't even know how to say Melbourne, like, because anyone that's not from Melbourne says Melbourne, you know. So it was like, oh, I wonder what kind of city this Melbourne place is, and looks pretty cool in the photos. So yeah, that's as honest and raw as I can be.
No, great. I mean, your journey is inspiring, but take us back to when you came. We know that you didn't want to come here. I didn't want to come here either. I mean, my dad told me to come down here. He said, do your course and come back. In my head, I knew, man, there's no way you can afford this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't belong to a family who can just send their kids overseas for studying and come back to India, look after the business. The business was not flourishing anyway. What's your story? You've come down here now. You've made up your mind. Where does it start in Australia? What does the cultural shock look like coming from western part of India where English is not the first language? Obviously, we all were lucky in some sense that we went to Catholic schools or good schools. We were speaking English.
Yeah,
but
of course, yeah.
How did it look like when you get down here?
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. So I left India on the 15th of August, 2006. So Independence Day, for those of you that don't know. So that's when I gained my independence. I was 19 at the time, never left. Didn't even have a passport. I got my passport 3-4 months before my first ever trip, and my first trip is 2 bags of clothes and $2.5 grand in my pocket to go into a completely foreign country where no one in my family's ever been, no mobile phone, and even if I had one, I had no one to call. And we land in Melbourne, and my plan was to go to this temple called ISKCON Temple, which
right in St Kilda,
in St Kilda. Yeah. Except I land on the day of a big Indian festival called Janmashtami.
Yeah.
And I hadn't planned this well, and I hadn't made any pre-bookings because they allow short stays for people, right? If you're a member, and my family have been life members of the temple. So the temple has short stays, but because of the big festival, they had no spaces for us. So me and there was a couple other people that actually moved, you know, there's a few of us that moved together actually, a few young kids, and me and 2 other people from my batch, my class. We went to the temple. They gave us food, but they said we don't have accommodation. So we catch a train to Geelong. It's freezing. It's August. It's cold. The jackets from Gujarat, like to give you context, it gets to 48. Like if you Google today what's the temperature in Ahmedabad, it'd be 45 degrees right now. Yeah. It's a very hot place. So we've never really felt the need to buy really thick jackets, you know, and then nothing's doing it in Geelong. It's so cold. 10:30 at night after about 48 hours of traveling, because I leave India, then we have a stopover in Singapore, then we get to Melbourne, then from Melbourne I catch a, you know, taxi and then a V-line train. I land, I'm just depleted, scared, tired.
You already want to go back?
I already want to go. Well, I land, this is where it gets real fun. I get to Geelong, get off the V-line. I don't know have you ever been to the Geelong train station?
Yeah.
It looks like a Harry Potter kind of set for a Harry Potter movie. Anyway, I get there at night. There is not a single soul to be seen. At 10:30, it is dead. There's 2 people, right, at the train station. And it is dark. And I think, like, if you come from India where there's people everywhere, you feel scared and you go, I'm going to get murdered tonight. This is my last night, and I'm doing my final prayers, and I'm cold and I'm tired, and I'm just sitting in the corner.
No place to live.
I'm just thinking, what the hell was I thinking? What have I done? I don't even have coins because I only have cash notes and traveler's checks that I brought with me to be able to call anyone, you know, no mobile phone. Anyway, it just happened. One of the guys was with me who knew a guy called Dharmendra Patel, who owns Aussie's Migration now.
Heard of him, yeah.
You heard of him? Okay, so this guy, Kamil, who's with me, Kamil calls Dharmendra because his family Dharmendra's family from India. Dharmu, we call him. Dharmu was driving taxis back then. And he says, hey, man, we've just landed here. We didn't know who else to call. You're the only person I could call. So he calls, and Dharmu, being the nice guy he is, turns up with one of his other taxi friends and puts him in. We hop in his taxis. We go back to their place, and they gave us shelter for the night, and we ate something, and the ducted heating never felt so good. You know, it was unbelievable. And then obviously introduced us to the guy that does student accommodation and whatever. And that's kind of how it all
feels like
off,
I'm watching a movie so far.
Yeah, so it's a pretty iconic story, man. And then day 2, we do our orientation, we go to university, and it's like, it's just all a whole new experience, and just the cold, the weather, the people, you know. I still remember there is 15 of us university students hop on a bus to get to university.
Yeah.
And no one's got change. So back then you paid the bus driver. Everyone's got $100 or $50 bills.
Oh, wow.
And because we've just landed here in this country. This is our first ever bus trip. No one's got really, any small change. So we're all paying him $50 and $20, and he's getting really agitated. It was pretty funny, but yeah. So yeah, big change, man. But awesome. Like,
best decision of your life now, if you look back.
Well, I can't say it was a decision I made. It was kind of driven by a lack of choice.
Yeah.
I think I executed on the decision, sort of what we were talking about this before starting this podcast is
it's all about
sort of just ideation without execution is delusion. You have an idea, you kind of just have to jump at it. And it's a game where the cynics get to be right, but the optimists get to be rich. The cynics are right every time because they say, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. I told you. Yes, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're so right. Every time they get to be right. But the optimistic people that just are happy to go out and give it a crack, I think they get to be rich. And it's so true because, the 99 times it might not work, but the one time it does work, guess where the cynics are? They're watching.
Absolutely.
They're just watching. They're not doing anything. Exactly right. So I think it was probably the execution. My family took out loans. My parents had a block of land that they sold to be able to fund it all because it's obviously quite expensive, as you know, to move here. And then, struggling to find a job.
What did the first job look like? Like a lot of Indian students, or not just Indians, migrant students move from all parts of the world, and, they've worked overseas, or they haven't. Like, I don't know if you've worked overseas or had that experience, and you come here, you have to study, you have to fund for your education, you have to look for a job. What was that experience like? What was your first?
Oh, it's funny. I'd never really done any jobs because I was so young.
Yeah.
And Geelong was very different to what it is today. Back then, this is going back 19 years ago.
It's pumping now, man. You go to the waterfront.
It's a cool place, and the people were beautiful, but they had just never seen other people, I guess, outsiders. Like, it wasn't a migration hub, so to speak. There weren't any Chinese, there weren't any Indians. There was probably a handful of Indian students, so it was just a new place, Trying to find a job early days was difficult because they didn't know us, we didn't know their style, whatever. It took me, like, a lot of my friends got jobs at Indian restaurants and stuff. It took me a while, and I remember this quite well. About a month and a half in, like, I paid my bond, I paid my rent. I needed to buy the essentials. I'm running out of money fast, Some of the people around me, they've got jobs I haven't. And one night I'm talking to my parents, and I just break down. I start crying to my mum. I'm like, I just want to come back. I don't want to be here. It's cold. I don't like it. I just want to come back.
Mum wants to see.
Oh, my mum starts crying. I'm crying. Little kid. And my mum goes, obviously just being the lovely mum she is, she goes, no worries, Britta, just come back, right? Exactly. And my dad takes the phone and he goes, you can come back, but I've spent my entire life savings and my retirement to send you there. So once you make all that money back, you come back. And then he hangs up. And I've never hated my father as much as I hated that evening.
I might as well stay here, make it happen.
Done. I'm like, what have I done? Like, my life is ruined, And anyway, I go to sleep. I wake up the next morning. I'm still miserable, but I go, well, I don't have a choice.
You just need that push. I mean, to become the person you are.
Have to push you.
Yeah. I think that phone call for you would be this push in the start to just stay and be resilient and go through it all. I mean, no matter what the job is, we haven't done a job overseas. Could be an Indian restaurant, could be anything in the start. We've just got to make it happen, Sometimes.
Just give it some more time and just keep trying. Yeah. So, and eventually I get a job. So anyway, I go to Melbourne. I find a job at Foxtel, door knocking. And that was my first ever job in sales. And that wasn't the ambition with which I moved. I came here to study bachelor's in IT, but that was good. I was pretty good at it. I used to door knock, sell people Foxtel. People used to buy Foxtel from me, and there was good survival. So that was really good. And then, I finished my university degree. I was doing odd jobs, petrol stations. I used to work at a pizza shop called La Paqueta in Geelong. Nice. Funnily enough, one of the waitresses there, Grace Borg, if you go on our website, she's now a sales manager. It's a complete coincidence that her and I worked at La Paqueta, that another chance encounter, right? So she's a waitress. She leaves, joins Barry Flan or someone in Geelong. I'm still a pizza delivery driver. There's a small sort of very short overlap. Years go by. We're friends on Facebook, and I can see she's in real estate. I'm in real estate. We've never really spoken.
Yeah.
About a year and a half ago, we're looking for a sales manager. We've met a number of people. No one's quite ticking the boxes. And then finally we hire someone, but we hire her at the time when I'm overseas. And my business partners are like, we've found someone. We think she's the one. Are you happy for us to go ahead, or do you want us to wait? And I said, I trust you guys. Go ahead. And then I see who it is, and I'm like, oh my God, what are the chances of this? It's pretty crazy. So I did all that. And then I was working at a petrol station from where I made the connection into real estate.
Where does the resilience come from? I mean, real estate from the outside, it looks like all glamour game, fancy cars, fitted suits, all these parties. What shaped you into a human being that you are today? I know there was foxtel, there was door knocking, there was cold calling probably, there was knocking on people's doors and listening to all the funny stuff that they have to say. So do you think foxtel was the first real job that made you into a tough human that you are today?
I think my upbringing helped.
Yeah.
Like just being, growing up in a place like India, you really learn to navigate through a variety of situations in life. It's so that probably helped. I think it takes a lot of courage for someone to move here, and that alone, has a level of resilience, which is pretty helpful. I don't know. I couldn't really pinpoint the answer. I couldn't tell you what brought the resilience. I think one thing I've been naturally blessed with, maybe it's my parents and the upbringing, is just being like, I just keep trying stuff. Like, I heard Conor McGregor said this, and I can really relate to it. He says, at the end of the day, you got to feel something. Why not feel unbeatable?
Oh,
right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's, okay, I really feel it. Like, I've always just try to just have fun with whatever I do. That's kind of, and if I don't enjoy it, I don't do it. And so resilience has kind of been easy for me from that standpoint, because if I don't enjoy it, I don't do it. And if I enjoy it, I do it, which means what looks like work feels like play. And I think that's a happy life. So the resilient part, kind of the natural thing to do. Most people go to work, right? It all starts out with wanting to earn money.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I was talking about this morning. I was having a shower. I was talking to my wife, and I said, there's a question that, like, I want to think about what have been the turning points. And one of the turning points was I lined up at Kmart years ago to buy this little leather jacket. I'm assuming it's a feather jacket, fake leather. They're not handing out leather jackets for like $80.
Yeah.
And, back in the day, you do lay-bys. I don't know if people still do anymore. Nowadays, Afterpay and all that, so people probably don't do lay-bys. But I'd put down $20, and you have 3 or 6 months to go back and pay the remainder of the $80 and collect the items, right?
Sort of an Afterpay.
Bit of an Afterpay, the original Afterpay. And every month I'd go, I should get the jacket, and I'd just run out of money. I'd pay the bills, I'd pay my fees, I'd pay something, my car would break down, and then I need to send money to India for the loans and whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it was like one day I'd left and I was standing in the car park, and I go, one day I'll make some money, and enough money that I don't have to constantly check price tags when I go to Kmart.
Back then. Yeah.
It's crazy, right? So I think that's what kind of gets you into the door for something like a real estate or any other job.
Yeah.
Because you're hungry to make $1. What keeps you there is if you love it. Because beyond a certain point, once you become successful and you're making enough money, just like anything else, you're not checking your car every day and going, oh my God, I can't believe I've got a Kia, for example. Like, it's not, you don't think that, like, no matter what it is, eventually it loses its novelty. But if you just love it so much, it still excites you enough that even through tough times you keep going. And I think that's probably where the resilience comes from. You kind of got to find your mission in life, Yeah. And my mission is just to be world class in business and world class in life.
You've touched on sort of being good at what you do and loving what you do, which is obviously an important part because you spend more than half your life at work and making money. I know money is a big driver.
Yeah, money can be a driver, yeah.
What else do you think? Culture? You being in a leadership position, running a team, running an office, having a staff to work with. I wouldn't say staff work under you, but staff work with you. It's a team. You take them along a journey.
Yeah.
They come to real estate for money. They look at all the glamour, again, fancy cars. I'm coming back to that because
they say the flash, not the flame.
Yeah, I'm coming back to that because as a layman, I work in finance, but I relate to real estate a lot. they all look at what Kevin's achieved and what he's doing, you know, auction at the block, all those big things, you know, on the big screen. What does it take to build a good foundation of a business? I mean, keep real estate aside. You know, you want to build a culture. You want to, just not yourself, but your whole team wants to get up.
Yeah.
With or without an alarm, get to work as excited as you are every day. What sort of leadership style do you have, or do you preach?
Good question, man. I think there's two things. I think there's a few things. One is, one of the highly rated skills in leadership, in my opinion, is your ability to remain calm through crazy times.
Yeah.
People really gravitate to that. Second is energy. I think my leadership style is very energetic. It's hard to find, but impossible to forget without sounding arrogant, you know.
Yeah. And people feed off your energy.
100%. So they come in and they feed off it. They love it. They want to be a part of it. And that just has become such a hallmark of our greater business, of everyone. Like, we just have high energy people. And then once you build enough people that live the same values as you, which is do the right thing, high energy, you know, they love the game, they want to progress, they want to keep going higher and higher and higher. Like, we have something saying in our business, there is no finish line.
There is no finish line.
You know, because the finish line just keeps changing all the time. You know?
I think the mind keeps running. I was going to come to that. You know, Kevin achieved a lot, won so many awards. Like, I can do a separate podcast on your achievements. But I was going to come to that. You know, it never stops. You know, guy like yourself who could think, man, I've achieved a lot and I want to keep running like a well-oiled machine and not think beyond what I'm doing now. Do you ever stop? Does your mind stop thinking? Or is it always like, what's next for me, man? How do I do more?
No, I'm pretty lucky like that. Like, I actually think a lot about how not to think, if that makes sense. So, yeah, like, I'm pretty good. I think as I've aged and kids do that to you, you know, having a family, I look at life like this. I look at life in buckets.
Yeah.
So there is a financial bucket, you know, the money, the self, like your mental health, your physical health, your family life, your relationships with your wife, your kids, your family, all that sort of stuff, what you do for people around you, your community, for example, like, you know, just people in your life, like, all of those things are little buckets. And I think sometimes people get too fixated on one bucket, and this one particular bucket is flooding.
Yeah.
It's just overflowing, but then all the other buckets are dry and neglected. And I just consciously think about every bucket having enough water in it, and everything should just feel like a nice garden, not just one tree that looks so dramatically big and every other plant around it is dead. Like, that wouldn't be a beautiful garden to look at. So that's kind of how I look at things. That's kind of how I look at life. So then I consciously think about it, like, and I think about it and go, what is it that I want to do? So, like, I'll give you an example. We were in India in January. So me, my wife, my kids, my in-laws came with us. They went with us to Singapore. We spent a few days there, which was awesome. Then they wanted to go to Dubai. We went to India. We spent a lot of time with my family, which was awesome. My cousins, I want my kids to see the life where I came from. Plus, it was awesome. There's no baby seats, no seat belts,
out of the field,
firecrackers. They loved it, right? Kids love it. Kids absolutely love it. It's a great place. Plenty of new sounds and new things to see, and just a whole different sensation.
People till 2 a.m. on the streets.
Yeah, it was just, well, they were fast asleep by then, but it was awesome. And, like, something, you know, we decided, it was just sort of in the moment where I said, you know, my mum's got 3 sisters, and I spent a lot of time in their homes with my cousins growing up. So we grew up as a very tight family.
Yeah.
And we decided in the moment, and I said to 2 out of my 4 aunties don't even have a passport. They've never even been out of the country.
Wow.
Like, you know, and I said to my wife, and thankfully she's very supportive of all of this stuff, but I said, wouldn't it be awesome to bring them out here and just show them the life we live and what I do? And wouldn't they be so proud? And when are they ever going to get a chance?
Yeah.
Right? Like, my oldest auntie is nearly 80. And so just one day we have the kite flying festival in Gujarat, which is pretty big, as you probably know.
Yeah.
We're having lunch, and I said to my aunties, I said, you know, here's what we're going to do. I get your passports. I said, I'll pay for your visa. I'll pay for your flights. I'll pay for, like, you stay with us, for how long you want. You stay with us. We all live under one roof for a month or two, however long. And like, you don't have to literally pay for anything. I'll pay for everything. You just got to pack your bags and get your passports, and I'll sort out the visas, the sponsorship letters, the cost, everything. Just come here, all 4 out of 4, all of you together.
How good is that?
And I think there's something in that, right? It's the cost of it is, I'm very privileged and fortunate that, I can afford that. That's one part of it, but there's many ways I can spend that money. Trust me, I know how to spend money well. And, and I just think,
I think it's changing people's life.
That's money well spent.
Yeah.
It's changing my life, to be honest. I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me.
Absolutely.
I'm doing it for my kids. I want my kids to grow up in an environment, like, really, you want your kids to feel, you obviously want to train them and give them the basics, right? But I want a few things for my kids. I want them to be the kind of people like I am, where they can quickly learn, like I learned here, to adapt in a new environment, in a new industry, in a new country, a new language, all of it. Yeah. I want them to be hard to kill. Of course, survival. I want them to feel unconditionally loved in a family unit, which this is a part of it, right?
See dad doing unconditional things for the family,
Correct.
Being able to afford is one thing, but wanting to do it on top, you could, as you said,
money's a small part. There's still adjustment in the house. People got to stay in their space and all the rest of it, right? And I want them to have high self-esteem. And I just think all of those things only come from the environment that I provide. So I try not to miss their bad times. Like, I try and be home at a time to make sure, I spend that time with them, and they're excited to see me. I get to go home. Like the other day we had a dinner at night, so I finished work, I went home, spent time with their bad time, then I went back out for my dinner and did that. So yes, it takes management, but so does anything. Right?
How do you balance it all? I mean, being a father, a leader, running a business, wearing so many hats every day, going through ups and downs. What do you think? Is that a work-life balance, or you just gotta go as a flow and make it happen?
I think I've got a good balance. Like all those buckets, I feel like the starting point is you look at it, your life, and write down the buckets, right? Business, health, financial, spiritual, relationships, every single thing, and go, how are my buckets going? And if they're not looking good, then you kind of got to make time to go, well, these are the buckets I need to spend time on. So my day looks like I get up, generally this week I've been really bad, but
what does bad look for you?
Bad is I get up at about 6:37. A good looks like 4:45. So between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, I get up, I'll do breathing, I'll do yoga, I'll go to the gym.
Amazing.
So that's my hour or hour and a half where I recharge my own batteries. Once I'm recharged, I can give all that energy to the rest of the world for the remaining 23 hours of the day. So I'm conscious about it. I'm conscious how I need to charge my own batteries and what I need to do. And then my kids get up at about 6:45, so my wife normally gets them up. We'll have a coffee together. Her and I will, play with the kids. And then I'll start getting ready at about 8 o'clock, have my smoothie. And then I'll find my way to work. And then, I've got a half an hour in the car, so I can make some phone calls. If I need to, I'll listen to some random stuff. Cause then through the day, I don't listen to nothing. Like, it's just
doesn't happen.
Cause even when I'm in the car, my phone's just ringing nonstop. Like some days I'll get 250 emails. I'll make and receive probably 60, 70 phone calls. Like, it's very, very fast paced, which is awesome. That's what I love about it.
Being able to have time for the family, have time for your kids on top of all that stuff running around your head is amazing. So it tells me you've got it all sorted, in your head. You crunch time. You've got time for your gym, for yourself. Coming to the office, have enough time for the team, what they want to run past you, and then, go along with your day. And your evenings are pretty well planned as well, because
most days, man, it's not perfect, but it's just, everyone has 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
And it's currency. So then you got to pick, like, the more your time becomes valuable, you started out at $20 an hour, $30 an hour, $50 an hour. If you're making $80 an hour, it's like, how do I want to spend that $80 an hour time? And what's the best value for me? And then I'm really good. I'm an A-grade handballer and a delegator. So I'm actually very good at handballing tasks. And like, for example, like one time we had to pick up a piece of artwork from someone, in Patterson Lakes or Berwick. I can't remember where it was. Anyway, it was an hour round trip. I would have to put it in the car. It was a Sunday and I couldn't be bothered. My wife and I had it. This was a few years ago. I had a debate about it. Now, I don't say this is what everyone should do, but I work 6 days a week. Yeah. Saturdays a crazy day. So to give you an example, have you heard of a Whoop watch before?
No.
Okay, so I'm wearing one, right? So a Whoop watch is basically like an Apple Watch. Yeah.
I forget that. Yeah.
It's like an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
But it measures your strain. So if I do an auction, a 20-minute auction as an auctioneer, my strain on my watch is exactly the same as what it would be if I did like a 30-minute HIIT workout.
Oh, wow.
Because the adrenaline,
I've experienced those.
you're putting
on. They're intense.
Yeah. So this Saturday I'm doing, I think, 6 or 7 auctions.
Oh, wow. So
you'd imagine the intensity at which I operate. And then I go home and I try and create as many honey, I'm home moments. So this is not my idea. The idea is mine. The words are stolen. But honey, I'm home moments are like moments when you get home and you have the same energy as you did in your first 3 months of your relationship. Like, you get home at 7 o'clock. Most people are tired. They just want to have a beer and they just want the world to piss off.
Look, everything in
right. Go home and I want that energy. Yeah. Like, honey, I'm home. Like, so I try and have that. So like by the time Sunday comes, it's my day, right? I don't want to pick up some piece of art. So then I go on Airtasker and I find someone that will. So I think that's efficiently using your time, in my opinion. And I think I've become really, really good at like managing my time, and I've got an extraordinary team around me. My immediate team that work for me. Like I hire great people, not so that I can tell them what to do. I hire them so they can tell me what to do, and they really help me sort out my life. So that's pretty awesome. So hire good people, look after them, pay them well, like, and just give them a lot of love. And it's just, mate, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. Absolutely. Any day of the week.
Golden nuggets right there.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chokshi. You've spoken a lot about, how you manage your time, your life, your family life, which obviously has inspired me until now. But talking about real estate, and obviously I keep going back to real estate, that's what I've seen you doing, and you've mastered the craft. What do you think new agents or agents in general who've been in the game for long, not saying that they're doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. People are overly busy. People say, I'm busy. I work 7 days, 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
What separates a good agent from a great agent?
Consistency.
Yeah.
A good agent has an incredible month. A great agent has an incredible life. So a good agent, like I have a lot of young kids, right, that join us and they want to impress me, which is awesome. Like I love that. But I was like, oh man, you watch me. I'll do, 5,000 letterbox drops this month. I'll make 250 phone calls tomorrow. And like, it's cool, but you make 50 phone calls a day for the next 12 months, every day without fail. That's what I find more impressive. Like, I think hard work is sometimes overrated.
Yeah.
And consistency, like discipline, enthusiasm is very much underrated in this game. Like if you meet Kevin today, and I hope that's what most people feel. If you met me 10 years ago, you get the same me every freaking day.
Consistency.
I'm just the same person every day, same energy. Like I just carry myself the same way. And we used to have this, Mark, my business partner, and I used to have a joke, right? Back early days. We heard this from someone else and it stuck with us. There's a roundabout before work, and if the energy wasn't right, just keep doing circles, go back, and don't enter the office until the energy's right. And so I think
there's no point doing half-hearted stuff. I mean, if you're not feeling the day,
you bring the whole office down unknowingly. Right? Everyone around you goes, "Oh my god!" Like he's turned up again, So I think you want to be the person that recharges the room, not someone who kills it. So I think that's a moral responsibility as the leader. Like we are the energy creators of the business, right? We are the people that are the vibe architects, if you will. Yeah. Like we control the vibe of the place. And if our vibe's terrible, first thing is we got to be aware of it. Second thing is we got to fix it. So I think that's crucial. But yeah, like I just think someone new starting, like be like Bruce Lee. Yeah. Don't practice 1,000 different kicks. Practice one kick 1,000 times. Get so good at it that people can't ignore you. Don't listen to a lot of external stuff like I used to probably early days a little bit.
Yeah. What was the external stuff that you used to hear that used to motivate you or bring you down at the same time?
Well, when I moved here from Geelong, it was everyone used to scare me going, Bayside, it's an incestuous market and everyone here knows everyone, and people played the local footy club and everyone here knows everyone from the local school and all the rest. And how are you going to break in some Indian kid from Geelong? What are you going to do? And how's that? And it just It puts a little bit of a doubt in your mind, and you go, like, what kind of a beast have I decided to tackle? Like, what is it going to be? And then you just come to realize they're not wrong. They're right in what they're saying, that yes, it is like that, but also sometimes it's a reflection of people's fears in the sense that, yes, it's harder to break in, but so is anything, right? And it took me 2-3 years to break into the market. And yes, there was challenges. I'll never forget, there was a guy that called me about a year in. I must have lost a listing, and he texts me, and then he calls me and he goes, every time we list a property, we laugh at you.
Oh, wow.
And I made it my mission in life to make him laugh. I thought, I'm just going to keep listing so many properties that the guy's going to find it hilarious, hopefully. So,
Have you met him recently?
But it's like, there's these characters, right? Like there's a guy, like there's someone in my first year in real estate just said, every time you list a property, me and my whole office laugh at you. And you're a clown, and I'll destroy your business, and I'll do this and I'll do that. And you know what I said to him? I said, man, thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it. I've never engaged. That's my policy.
Get a little artwork there. Laugh at me now.
Yeah.
So somebody's driving fast.
Yeah. Oh, mate, they know who's having the laugh, right? I think, people just watch the outcome in the end, but yeah, I've never gotten too caught up in all that stuff. Like, I just focus on my craft. And
I think these are the defining moments where somebody's trying to put you down and say, hey, this is not for you. Indian kid moving from Geelong, moved from India. You haven't lived here. You haven't gone to local school. You don't know anyone. And then staying in your lane and keep working hard and not listening to too much noise. I think that's the key.
There's a guy called Adam Armstrong that used to work with me when I first started my career in Geelong. Crazy Adam, I used to call him. He said, it was like, I learned a lot from him. He was very good in theory. He wasn't always very good in application. And if he listens to this, you'll find it really funny.
Well, maybe he listens to this.
I'll send him a link. And, he used to say this to me, right? In my early days, he used to say, Kev, there's a part of your brain that's missing. And I said, what part's that? And he used to say, the part of your brain that's meant to give a FUCK, right? Like, and I said, but it's not true. Like, I do care. And he's like, no, but you care, but there's a difference between care and giving a shit, right? And it's like, he's like, you just don't seem to give a fuck about stuff. And it's, I never thought of it until I got a bit older, and I thought it's right. Like, I've been lucky in that sense that I've never gotten too caught up in things. Like, if I have a good day, amazing. If I have a bad day, okay, well, it's a bad day, and I go home and I have a pretty good reset system that I can reset pretty quickly.
Yeah. Makes sense. That helps. I mean, not getting too caught up in what people are saying and keep working and let the hard work talk, I think. Going back to what I asked about the industry and what people are doing wrong or being too busy and not having a life outside real estate.
Yeah.
Was Kevin always disciplined, or real estate has made him?
I did some army training, so that helped.
Yeah.
Before moving.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that. Yeah.
Oh man, I did, there's a thing at school that you might also know of in India. It's pretty common. It's called NCC, cadetship.
Yeah. My dad's been a part of it.
Yeah. So I did that. So I was a part of that. I did that for 2-3 years when I was at school. And then after that, I spent a bit of time.
They're pretty full on, aren't they?
Yeah, really, really full on. Yep. So then I spent, then you go and join one of the battalions and you do a training camp. So I did that for a little bit. Then I went to Jamnagar. Jamnagar is a place in Gujarat where India has a National Defence Academy. So I went there, and then I wanted to join the defence, except I failed one of the tests, and that was kind of like, I wasn't disciplined enough to basically keep pushing on. Plus, my mum didn't want me to go there anyway, which probably didn't help. So I think there was a little bit of that probably helped. For sure. I think some of the discipline just came from making a lot of mistakes.
Okay, yeah.
And I think sometimes we overteach people and we take away their own right of experiencing something. I was lucky that if I lived in India, my friends, my family, the community, the society, everyone would have over-taught me. And they can only teach me what they know, which means I would have just become a product of who they are.
Whereas opinions coming from 10 different angles and you get confused. And
you become a part of who you're surrounded by, right? Whereas I think moving away had its own benefits in the sense that, yes, you make a lot of mistakes. Like, I'd never managed money. I didn't know what to do. Like, I'd never made a bed until I moved here, let alone making a meal or managing money, right?
Yeah.
So you know what it's like, man. You're 16-year-old in India. Like, it's very different. And Whereas kids here, they're far more advanced. They start work early, you know, they get jobs when they're 15, 16. That's not the same in India. So it was very different. So I think me being able to make a lot of mistakes, I became more disciplined with money. I became disciplined with time. You know, I became disciplined with what I want to do. I became disciplined with my energy too.
Yeah.
I think it's an important part of becoming ultra successful is energy management. You know, it's just like anything else, like time management, money management. There's energy management. Like if I had my first meeting today and if it wasn't you are currently recharging my batteries. But if I was meeting someone that's absolutely draining my life, how do you think my day would go? It'd look terrible. So I think it's just managing that going, if I can avoid this meeting, I'll avoid it. But if it's going to be a drainer of a meeting, I'll just do it probably the last thing in the day.
Yeah.
Because then my batteries are drained. You can't drain them anymore. And then when I go home, I'll still try and bring the honey on my energy, but then I need that for a little bit until the kids are in bed, and then we'll start to wind down for the day. Right? So I think it's just is it perfect? Of course not. It's not perfect. I don't nail everything. Like my home's not perfect. My work's not perfect. Like we have problems. We have things just like anyone else. But fundamentally, if you try and have a bit of a framework, you can you can plan around it. So I try and plan some of those things as much as I can.
I think a lot of it is culture as well. We've spoken about culture at work, but I think to be successful at where you are, a lot of it is governed by how the culture is at home, how much supportive they are. You know, you have to work. You might be home 4 p.m. on a day. I mean, if you're lucky, but you might not be home till 10 p.m. the next day. It's not consistent. Obviously, your mood is consistent. The way you behave with your family, the energy is consistent. Your life's not consistent. And I think you would agree that a lot comes from the family. Your energy obviously is 10 on 10 every day. You've told me that, you know, a lot of it goes down to your discipline. You're waking up early, giving time to meditation, your yoga. But I think the support from family, knowing that everything's been looked after, and I'm sure wife's a superstar, you got to give it to her, you know, looking after the boys at home so you can work without worrying.
100%.
How's the energy? I mean, not diving too much into it, but how do you think the family has supported you to where you are and, you know, keeping your energy 10 on 10 each day?
Success in this business is like standing on the shoulders of big giants.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? And I'm standing on the shoulders of some massive giants. So when I walk through a crowd, people see me and go, look at him, man, how tall is he? They clap. They don't see the giants on whose shoulders I'm standing. And those giants are the family. So they are my wife, my parents, you know, my extended ecosystem being my in-laws and all the people that support me, my team, my business partners. I mean, they take a lot of the daily hits. Like at one point, I went on Amazon to order some uniforms with punching bag looks like, so we could all put one on, you know, like sometimes they are the punching bags so that I can be the creative soul I am and do what I can and be the visionary to drive the business where it needs to go. So like, there's just so many people that support you. And I think, they have buy-in, and you always try and do your best to not let them down because they, like, for example, my wife, when I first started dating her, I was driving a car. My car constantly kept breaking down, so I had a rented Subaru.
What was this, if you don't mind me asking?
2015. I was renting a Subaru. I was renting an apartment, was covered in mold, and it was the cheapest place I could rent.
Wow.
Because that's what I could afford. And a friend of mine needed money to pay for his university, and I didn't have any money, so I borrowed money from her to help him. She didn't even know this guy, right? So like, and there was the only thing I had
convincing skills and negotiation.
I was very good at packaging up a good story for sure. And the only thing I had to offer back then was potential. I had no track record. I had no other skills. I had no money.
Economic story else. Right there.
And it's, pretty much, right? And I had a lot of potential to offer. And I think that's, you find that's probably the story with a lot of other people where they have someone that supports them really well and believes in their vision. And my wife could do an entire Kevin Chokshi auction word for word. Wow. She could call an auction because she's heard me practice auctions like over and over and over again. Like if you wake her up and say, can you say his first line? She'd just say it like just over and over and over again. So it's pretty powerful, right? So having someone by your side, and you have to work with them. they're not going to think the same way as you do. You don't want them to think the same way as you do. I've gotten better at it. I've spent a lot of time doing therapies, and I used to see a psychologist. I've done a lot of work on myself and stuff, to become an even better communicator than what I was, to be able to communicate with her and explain to her why I'm doing something. Because I think that's the hardest thing, right? In this game, you feel it, you see it. They're kind of behind the scenes going, what the hell's going on? They feel so removed, and I think you don't always nail it, but I've gotten really good at it.
Yeah.
I've gotten really good at sometimes just sitting back and just listening as much as possible, and just also trying to work out what's going to hit the spot. So I explain to you this. Sometimes you go somewhere and you want a glass of water.
Yeah.
They come and offer you Coca-Cola. It's a more expensive drink.
Yeah.
But just doesn't hit the spot. In that moment, you just wanted a bloody glass of water. And I think that's the same thing at home. Like, sometimes you just got to understand. You can go and buy them a car and a designer handbag. It doesn't hit the spot.
No.
In that moment, they just want a cup of water. Just give them a cup of water, and that's it. Like, don't talk about how you got them a designer handbag. So this cup of water is nothing.
Sometimes all they want is your time without the AirPods on, isn't it?
Correct. So it's not perfect. It's something that I constantly aspire to get better at. But she's definitely been very, very supportive with it, and so have everyone, like my kids as well. Like, they understand what I do, and we talk about it at home. Obviously, I mean, I'm
sure there are moments when you sit down and be grateful with the wife on how far we've come and what sacrifices we've done.
100%. Yeah,
we've missed out on holidays. We missed out on a few things. Obviously, you've done a lot of things for your family, but along the journey, I'm sure there's a lot of times you would have had to miss out on things.
But it feels suspicious. The start of the podcast, he said it just some days it feels suspicious. Going, how me? Like, why me? Do I deserve all of these things? Like, am I meant to be surrounded by such great people and have, the sexiest looking office in the industry, and have the success and have the family, like, have the relationships, like, I get on with my in-laws, she gets on with my parents, like, just, we have a reasonable harmony in almost everything. So I think it's yes, life by design. It's also a little bit of life by coincidence. It's kind of, but you can't plan this stuff. I didn't even know myself, like, I look at some of these kids, like, I was telling a 21-year-old the other day, I said, mate, you are light years ahead of what I was when I was 21. I had no idea. My dad sent me money to pay my uni fees, and I went and bought a car with it. Like, I was that dumb. And then I had to borrow money to pay these uni fees, and then I couldn't return the money. And it was just like, my life was shambles. So
we've got mates here who started their first job at the age of 14, and, we came here, like, you came here pretty early, and I came here at 23. Never worked in my life. Lied on my resume to get my first job. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean,
same
start a whole new life. So I think it all goes down to the energy you give.
If you don't make it in Australia, you're not going to make it anywhere.
Anyway, it's full of opportunities.
If you don't make it here, mate, you've got no hope. You're done.
Absolutely.
Like, it's a great place to make it, for sure.
Look, Kevin, the podcast is all about sharing the blueprints to success and how winners have made it. But you do real estate, and I think a lot of people would take away some stuff from this. You've told me, obviously, you wanted to go back when you came down here. You had to go to Geelong, live in someone's house, obviously. Hats off to the guy who gave you shelter for the night. In real estate, give us some moments when you thought, man, fuck, I can't do this anymore. This is not me. I'm just finding something else, but not real estate. And you had to come back and said, I'm going to make something out of this. Obviously, you didn't imagine this, but something out of this. What were those moments?
Oh, man, we had a few. Obviously, there's the normal rejection. When I first moved from Geelong to Melbourne, that was a tough one. I think that was probably one of the hardest times. COVID was pretty tough as well, because I had my family couldn't come here. Market was slow, early on when everything changed as well. I sold a property, which I regret selling now, looking back, like just some poor decisions over the journey. And you sort of sometimes, of course there's setbacks, there's normal. I don't dwell on things for too long. Like, I think when those things happen, I've been pretty lucky. Again, maybe it's the support around me that's just helped me move past it pretty
amazing. Quickly. Great. We'll do a quick rapid fire.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I'm sure you're gonna love it. Not a lot of, but we'll just get going.
Yeah.
Ideal Saturday for Kevin.
Oh man, just watching TV in the evening, maybe some sort of Netflix show with my wife.
Not going out hitting the pub.
Nah.
We're past that, isn't it?
Past that, and I barely drink. Yeah, if I won wine, I pay the price the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. First big purchase, let's say big purchase.
Mitsubishi Magna 1987 model, dark green. Paid $2,000. I was 19 years old, but I couldn't afford $2,000, so I went and found my first 3 business partners.
No power steering, no power windows.
No, it was, we had 4 business partners in this car, so $500 each, and I used to run a roster. So the only rule was if whoever had the car, they had to be the last one home, which means when they came home, they had to pick up everyone else that needed to be brought home from their work. God. So the $2,000 car had 4 business partners at $500 each. Of course, I was one of the stakeholders, and that was the first big purchase, and that was also the first partnership.
Oh, wow. There you go. Beachside property or a countryside property for you?
And I'd be lying. Look at that view right there. Of course,
You're not gonna be...
beachside, man. Of
Absolutely.
course. Yeah, Bayside properties. That's what we do for a living. That's why I moved here. That's what I love. I mean, I love countryside properties too. I lived obviously nice, and I've seen some nice homes in Geelong and that sort of stuff. But yeah, Bayside for me.
Awesome. If you were not in real estate, what would you be doing? Be honest with this one.
Yeah. My OnlyFans content creator. I don't know.
I'm sure I'm not.
Probably pilot. I had. I wanted to become a pilot at one stage.
But you said pilot.
Yeah, or maybe an air hostess. Maybe a pilot. I think I wanted to travel the world, and you know, it just felt like a really cool job as well. So I look back and I'm like glad I'm not a pilot, because I can't stand the idea of sleeping in hotels all the time. Like it would be tough with kids and a family. But yeah. So
good stuff.
Yeah.
A book or a podcast that's changed your life?
There's a book. I'll tell you hard truth, man. I've only ever finished one or 2 books. I'm not much of I start them, but I can't finish them.
Yeah.
They're not for me. I listen to a few different podcasts. But the one book that I highly, highly recommend everyone to read, and it's the one book that I've not only finished, I've read it multiple times. It's called The Greatness Guide. And it's a Greatness Guide by Robin Sharma. And it's an unbelievable book. And anyone that joins my team, I give them a copy of the book. And the reason I like the book is there's just mini bite-sized chapters. There's about 100 different chapters. You can read one chapter every single night. It's just one page. They're very small. They're perfect for someone like me who lacks the patience to go through a whole entire book. But yeah, The Greatness Guide.
Wow. I'll surely give it a go. I'm like you. I haven't read a book in my life. I've read
I've
read smaller ones.
I'd become a doctor if I was good.
I know. I've read some Simon Sinek stuff given to me by my ex-boss. I loved them. You know, small codes and leadership and
beautiful.
How to tackle, but never a book. I've bought some, but they just staying there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So we'll almost wrap this up by asking you what's next for Kevin Chokshi. Where does life go from here?
Man, life just continues on. Continue to do what I love. Expand the family, man. Maybe one more kid, we're not sure. I'd love a daughter, so that's kind of in negotiations at the moment. There's not much negotiation. My wife wants more kids, so see how we go. If that's the only thing, it's just how much time, and you know, I want to give them as much love as possible. So do we want 3 kids or not? That's a discussion, but maybe another kid. Obviously expand this office as well. Become the clear market leader. We want to be selling 1,000 properties as a business by 2030 and have 5,000 rentals under management.
Wow,
that's the next big goal.
Yeah.
Have the right wonderful people. Absolutely, have the most wonderful people working in this business. That's what we want. More partners, more growth. Just have lots of fun. Teach people how to have fun in this game too. The right way. Potentially in 10 years time, I see myself doing a bit of more of a coaching role. I already do that, in a small capacity, but when I have time, the way I structure my life is, you know, earn, return. You know, you're 20 to 30, you learn, 30 to 40, 45, you try and earn. And then I want to return. I want to return back everything I've got to my family.
That's where your way of giving back.
People that supported me, you know, hopefully develop some great agents. I've been very fortunate to be able to train some great auctioneers. So I want to continue on training some people to become awesome auctioneers. I want to do something one day where I can help a lot of immigrant kids, you know, with their first step in life and progress, and help them progress and settle down in this country and learn the Aussie way of life and how how to fit in here, because it's a wonderful place.
That'll be
to
amazing.
You know,
I haven't heard anyone doing it. You know, people come here, like I did my master's in accounting, but I didn't do a job in accounting at all. You know, I went into a sales job and I thought, this is amazing. Money's coming in.
Yeah.
Grew into a leadership role.
Yeah.
Started my business.
Yeah.
Similar to yourself. You did sales. You came into real estate.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you don't have to pay 50, 60, 70 grand for an education that you're not keen on doing it. I know there's pathways to getting a residency in the country, but helping immigrants with that step and not getting into over debt and understanding what they really want to do is amazing.
Super crucial. Yeah. So that's great. That's a dream, man. So the dream keeps evolving over time. I don't have a sort of set dream, but yeah, these are a few of the things on my radar at the moment. So yeah, well, watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space. A lot of goals, a lot of inspiration. It's been amazing doing this with you, bro. And
appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me. No,
we've been Instagram friends, and I'm glad I made it. We sat down.
I'm glad I made it.
I know. I'm glad I made it. We took so much out of it, and I'm sure our audience will take so much out of it. You know, being immigrants or locals, everybody will benefit from this. We'll be watching you from sidelines to see how you continue to grow and achieve things, and we get inspired from it.
Thanks.
Thank you again, mate.
Thanks, bro.
It was lovely having you.
Thank you. Thanks, brother.